All right, good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you can hear me okay. I apologize in advance for the time that I am speaking to you all this afternoon. There is a good bit of chaos at my house. There's a big construction project, municipal construction project going on next door, and that combined with toddlers and dogs is just a lot. So hopefully it won't be too loud on my end when I'm with you guys. So again, thanks for joining. We've got a great turnout so far. We always have a few more folks hop on in the first couple minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get to our presenter so that I can mute my end, and hopefully the dog barks and everything won't be too distracting. So I'm really excited about today's presentation on social media best management practices. I'll talk a little more after Shelby about what FISP is doing right now, and so this is a great time to kind of hear some good tips. And I know that the CISMAs are always kind of trying to feel their way around social media as well. So just want to thank Shelby for joining us. She's with the UF IFAS Center on Aquatic and Invasive Species. And with that, let's see, Shelby, I'm going to just turn it over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shelby Oestreicher. As Emily said, I'm the communications manager for the Center for Aquatic and Invasive Plants. And just to give you a little bit of information about me, I graduated from the University of Florida with my master's in agricultural education and communications back in 2017. And since then, I've worked for the Florida Farm Bureau Federation as a communications specialist, then for FDAC's Division of Plant Industry as a public information specialist. And in each of those roles, including this role, I have had the opportunity to really hone my social media skills and really understand some different platforms and be able to teach other people about social media management and how it can benefit your business or benefit your science communication program, whatever that looks like. So today we're going to get started by discussing a little bit. Sorry. Okay, there we go. By discussing a couple of topics, I want to give you a really good overview of what each social media platform we're going to be talking about, what they look like, the kind of the ins and outs of who's on those platforms and what they can be used for, and talk about why social media communication is so important. Then we're going to talk about what the research about social media and about audiences on social media is telling us in recent years. And I know something that you guys are probably very interested in is what are the best management practices for social media. So after some research, I compiled 6 of them that across the board will really help, especially in the science communication realm, and especially when it comes to invasive species and invasive plants. So finally, we'll talk about how engaging can help as well, and what that kind of looks like. So here are the platforms we're going to be talking about today. I added blogs because usually I just talk about Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but I added blogs because people ask about that a lot, ask about blogging a lot and what that looks like. Basically, blogs are a really good way to generate good content for both Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of your platforms. So we'll just dive right into Facebook. And Facebook, I'm sure everybody knows what Facebook is, but it's the most popular social media platform out there with, at the time of my research, 1.79 billion active users. However, I can almost guarantee that that number has gone up. It goes up daily, and especially with the situation that we're facing right now with everyone staying home and quarantining in most states in the United States. That number has definitely increased, and it will continue to increase because people are connecting on social for various reasons these days. So the basics about Facebook are you have to have a personal profile in order to have a Facebook, and in order to get a timeline and that kind of thing. So this personal profile is really for you to connect with other people and to build those social aspects. The next kind of level is a group. You can get involved in a group, and those groups tend to are groups of people, of like-minded people who have the same interests. I'm involved in several different groups, and if you have a Facebook, I'm sure you are too, but it's a good way for you to connect with people who have the same interests as you. On another level, there are pages. Pages are what you would create your business account on. So we have a page, the Center for Aquatic and Invasive Plants, and it is managed through our personal profiles. So there's a couple ways around that. If you don't want your personal profile to be something that you would use a business profile, but that's really deep. And if you want to talk about that, we definitely can later on. So the thing about Facebook is it sometimes creates silos, and that's because of its algorithm. So the Facebook algorithm takes all of your interests and everything you like and comment on and engage with, and it relates it to other things on Facebook, and then it dumps it into your newsfeed. So your newsfeed's no longer what it used to be when it was just a timeline of what people, your friends, were posting all the time. Now it's a collective, group of postings that Facebook thinks you would be interested in, meaning that you might not always get outside information or information that is different than what you believe. Instagram is our next platform. It definitely has a younger audience for sure. We use it a lot to target, college age students, since we are a part of the university. That's definitely a part of our audience, and trying to get the younger generation involved in science communication for sure. And this platform is visual. I mean, it is primarily visual. You definitely want to have good quality images that you're posting on Instagram. And whether those are images or videos, that's really important. I will say, just a real quick tip, is videos will always do better than pictures. Pictures will always do better than text on pretty much any platform that you're on. So I love this little tidbit of a fact, is that humans' attention spans, the average attention span of a human these days is less than that of a goldfish, and a goldfish's attention span is 7 seconds. So I think that really applies on Instagram, because you're scrolling on your Instagram and you want something that's eye-appealing, eye-catching, that someone is gonna double tap for the like really quickly. And so that's why it's so important to have it to visually connect with your audience, and then they might go read your caption, and from there hopefully you can get them to click on your page, and then hopefully they'll click on the link in your bio and find out more information about what you posted. But you really have to grab people's attention for that. You can post short videos on Instagram. I think they're about 30 seconds long, and then you have to move to Instagram TV. Another thing we can talk about later if you guys are interested. And then, images are the main thing that you see on Instagram. Twitter, just a brief little bit about Twitter, is it's where people go to get news and fast updates. There's a very limited number of characters you're allowed to use, but I would also say for Twitter to use videos and images as well. That's what we do for all of our tweets, and we've definitely seen our Twitter grow, as it was pretty much non-existent before. We did not have an Instagram before, and our Facebook was severely lacking. And so we've really been able to gather all of these platforms and make something good out of it. But anyways, back to Twitter. There's a thing called live tweeting, and I think that would be really cool for applicators or scientists who are out in the field. You can kind of live tweet what you're doing. We see this a lot with in a social sphere, people live tweeting about shows that are on, or live tweeting about a concert that they're at, or things like that. So here, your retweets and your interactions are very important. It helps you build that following, and it helps other people see what you're posting. So briefly about blogs, because this is definitely like a bonus edition that I've thrown in here for you guys, is blogs are important because you can generate that content for those other social media platforms. So they're short and to the point. They do have to be short. Most blogs are less than 1,000 words. Again, that attention span thing comes in. We keep ours from anywhere from 300 to 500 words. That's an IFIS communications kind of guideline that we like to stick to. And then blogging requires you to be concise and summarize. It also is very different from academic writing in that you can, you want to put the most interesting thing first. So you want to put your results almost first and your conclusions first, and then kind of tell people how you got there, because they want the most interesting thing first, because they're likely going to read the first paragraph and maybe move on if they're not interested. You can get really creative with blogs. That's definitely an option, and it's an easy way to put your research and thoughts and ideas out there for your target audience. We'll talk a little bit more about blogs moving forward, but you can have a couple of different kinds, and that includes, you know, like a photo blog, a regular text blog, and vlogging. And I say that vlogging with a V, video blogging. That's something that has become very popular these days, especially on YouTube. People are taking to that video stance and really using that as a platform to get their information and ideas out there. So why is social communication so important? Well, electronic communication is not going away. This type of interaction, honestly, that we're having right now is the new wave. It's what everybody is doing because they have to. And it's not something that is going to disappear once this quarantine is over. I think that's something very important that everybody should know, is like, it did exist before, and now I think it'll be an even more prevalent part of the way we communicate. So science communication has taken a new form, and it's taken to social media. There's a great group called Streaming Science, and they actually create virtual field trips for students I think it's elementary school and middle school, to where they're able to take this group of students that are kind of stuck in the classroom and take them out into a place like Austin Carry Forest and help them interact with scientists and learn something new from that perspective. And so they use Facebook to help do that as well. They use that Facebook Live feature to bring that into people's living rooms, especially now. And so science communication has definitely taken a new form in social media. So there is an overwhelming amount of misinformation shared on a daily basis, and the only way to combat that is through sound science information. And you're going to hear me say sound science a lot, because I think that it's a very important thing for all of us to understand, is that we need to be putting sound science out into the world in order to combat that misinformation, rather than maybe arguing. So loud, active, angry, and sometimes irrational people exist online. If you've been on social media sites, if you've been on Facebook, you definitely see that. And it can make it kind of daunting to get involved in that conversation. But it's very important to be involved in that conversation, because if we're not involved, then only one side of the story is really getting out there. So I want to share some examples with you guys of those loud, angry, maybe just naysayers of people who don't necessarily agree with everything that we agree with, scientific or other people in our invasive species realm. So this is one post. This was a great video that showed, I think one of the FWC biologists was kayaking down a river, and they come upon water lettuce, like just an overwhelming amount of water lettuce that kind of encroached the waterway and made it just not a navigable waterway. And there's a debate that, I'm sure you all know this, about water lettuce, whether it's native or non-native. Regardless, it's a problematic plant. But there are different opinions, and people are going to on social media. Hey, Emily.
Hey, can you hear me?
Emily, it's frozen.
Okay,
Oh,
I
whoa.
think I think it's
Okay,
back.
sorry.
That's okay.
I
Sorry about
clicked
that.
it so many times. It's okay. Let's see. We're getting back. Almost. Okay, here we are. I think we're good. Okay, so this is another example of that misinformation that we're talking about. This is a label for, you'll see agricultural plants and agricultural crops. And so I think one piece of information we can take from this is making sure that maybe we put out information that educates people about reading labels, reading herbicide labels, reading any kind of chemical label. And I think that would be some beneficial information for people to get out there. And it would also combat this indirectly, some posts like this indirectly, by showing people the right way to read a label. Okay, this one, I talked about Streaming Science earlier. They are a part of the UF Department of Agricultural Education and Communication. And this group, this was an advertisement for their virtual field trip. It actually did really well as a post, but it also got shared by some of our negative followers. Well, negative to us followers. They kind of took it in a different direction. It's not, this comment is not directly related to this post whatsoever, but it was shared with the post. And indirectly, they actually boosted our post, and it was one of our most successful in the last year, honestly. So I wanted to show you this one because if you've been following invasive species at all, or aquatic and invasive plants, you know about these videos that really target FWC and applicators. The reason why I wanted to show you this is there is some misinformation within the video, but more importantly, you'll see that somebody tried to combat the misinformation and ask some legitimate questions, but then it turned into an argument. And we can talk about that more a little later because we want to avoid arguing, but we do want to get our side of the story out there. So with all of this negativity, I'm sure you're wondering, why should we even be present on social media at all? And that's a question that has been posed to me by several people. Trust me, I hear it all the time. But the important thing to remember is if we are not there, if you're not on social media putting out good content, good sound science, then someone else is out there putting out information and you're no longer a part of the conversation. We have to stay a part of the conversation in order to continue to educate people. So there are those supportive and extremely negative opinions, and we just have to deal with that. We have to find ways to combat them, and I'll definitely talk a little bit about that. So social media platforms are used for that first social interaction. That's what they were intended for, but then they morphed into a news outlet and a science communication opportunity. I'm sure that Mark Zuckerberg didn't intend Facebook to be a venue for science communication or virtual field trips, but that kind of is where we're at now. The information people see on their newsfeed informs their opinions, whether they know it or not, because there's that seeing and reading that builds that cognitive understanding of something. And so if we can put sound science out there, hopefully that will stick as well. It's definitely used as a science education tool. And while I won't say that social media is free, because your time does matter and it's really important, and it costs money, social can be the most cost-effective tool for advertisement and promotion, depending on where you're at with your advertisement and promotion budget. So what does the research tell us about the people and things that are on social media? Social can be used to diffuse controversial topics, but then it can also create those silos where it's just people kind of talking about the same subject and the same side of the subject. So there's a positive and a negative side. We just have to target the right people when we're having those controversial conversations. There's opportunities for diverse groups of people to discuss environmental controversies in a new way. That's that video opportunity, that blogging opportunity, things that wouldn't normally get to this general public are able to get out to that public now because of social platforms. We definitely see that organizations and crisis managers have to monitor social, whether they're on social media or not, because like I said before, someone is talking about you, someone is talking about the subject that you're interested in. And if you're not monitoring and listening to that subject, to the voices of the people, then you're going to miss out on an opportunity to educate. You're going to miss out on the conversation completely, and the narrative is going to be formed for you. So all that to say that there is a crisis situation right now regarding herbicides, invasive plants, and their effect on the environment. And it's something that we're having to catch up to because for so long, there were conversations happening without a lot of people in the science community. And now I think the science community is definitely coming to that technology side and coming to the aid of other scientists. So I know this is what you were all waiting for after all of that heavy information about each platform, but what are the 6 best management practices for social media? Well, after some research, these are the ones that we've compiled, or I've compiled, and after all my few years of doing this, have definitely seen that it makes a difference. So the first thing you want to do when you pick your social media platforms, because you don't need to be on all of them, just with the time that you have, your time constraints, that's how you should decide what social platforms you're on. And so maybe you start with one and you can really make one of them your niche. You don't have to be on all of them, but you want to set goals for each social platform. We had to do that with ours, and we found that it really helped us stick to our mission and vision, so that our goals are to educate the public about aquatic and invasive plants. And I think having that in writing really helps us stick to our mission and vision and stick to the goals. So the second thing to do is to make a posting plan. This is something that might sound daunting, but it's really not. You can use something as easy as an Excel spreadsheet, because that's what we do. We have an Excel spreadsheet that we put our ideas on for every day of the month, and then we take those ideas, generate content with the idea in mind, and then we use a social media scheduling platform called Hootsuite, which we can talk a little bit more about that if you guys have questions later. But then our Hootsuite helps push out all of that information out there. Number 3 is to communicate sound science. That's right, you heard it again. To counter the misinformation. This is a way for us to indirectly counter misinformation by not directly responding to something, but by creating our own post that has solid sound science within the post. So number 4, target the undecided and observers. We're not trying to go for the very loud and angry group of people. We're trying to go for those observers who in most cases don't comment, don't even like, they're just there, they're just observing, and they're not sure what they think yet. And this is an opportunity for us to influence their opinion in a way that is more on the scientific side of things. So number 5 is to develop that visually appealing content. So there's several different ways you can do this. If you're not a communications person, that's okay. They have really cool opportunities out there and platforms that you can use. One is Canva. It's a free software that you can pay for, but is mostly free. It helps you create that visually appealing content. There's Promo, that one is paid. You can create videos though, simply create videos from that. There's definitely a lot out there. If you're a little more skilled, you can use Adobe. I would definitely say Adobe Spark is a lot like Canva in that it takes the design out of designing for you. And so you have something that's already developed, that's already kind of cute, kind of kitschy. And then you can just dump your content, your verbiage in that post. So finally, number 6, this is super important. If you don't take anything else away from today, I really hope you take this away. Respond positively and do not battle in public. private message someone if you really want to have a discussion with them, because battling publicly, and when I say battling publicly, I mean commenting back and forth. It makes you look unprofessional and can have a negative effect on your overall goal, which is to educate people. A lot of times they can view you as irrational, or, you know, hot-headed if you're commenting back and forth in a negative way. So keep that in mind as you move forward. So this is my bonus on blogging tips. Just a quick bit about this. You want to identify your audience first, just like you would with a social media platform. Post about a consistent subject or related subjects. We go with aquatic and invasive plants. That's our goal. We post about plant management, aquatic plant management, and other invasive species things. Okay, sorry, I saw a question, so we'll answer those at the end. And you want to post regularly. And so that's the same with what I was talking about, trying to determine what your timeline is or what your timing opportunity is. And so posting regularly for us looks like twice a month right now, but it could grow. So maybe it's once a month for you, and you use that content on your Facebook and your social platforms. You want to link your related papers or websites. That's important because hopefully the goal of your blog is to educate, and so it's okay to have other sources within it. We like to put our actual sources at the bottom of our blogs a lot of the time. Definitely want to use photos, because remember that attention span is slow, or is very short, and so you want to catch people's attention. There's no wrong way to blog if you have a personal blog. However, if you are working for a company and you want to start a blog for your company or extension agent or whatever that looks like, you definitely want to check with your communication and PR department prior to blogging, because they might have stylistic brands and branding to adhere to. And so we have a branding guide that helps our scientists when they're writing their blogs. Okay, so how will engaging help, and how do you engage in this arena where you don't want to argue? So first of all, you're bridging the knowledge gap. You're hitting those people who haven't made up their mind yet and don't have, full opinion formed. You're bridging that gap. And you're definitely reaching an audience that's concerned about the public and concerned about the environment, because if they're seeing your post, that means the Facebook algorithm has deemed your post worthy or in their realm of interest. And so these people are concerned about the environment. And then we're disseminating the facts. We're disseminating that sound science, and hopefully that helps us build the transparency and build trust within the general public. So we can turn controversial conversations into constructive conversations when we do it correctly. And that really is taking it offline. I like to first take our conversations to a DM or private message, and then I refer them to our email or phone number that they can call to have a more in-depth discussion. And it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes they call, sometimes they don't. But when we have that opportunity, we try our best to take advantage of it. So what's Facebook doing about it? What's social media doing about it? They're sending posts like this to people who are against the community standards of Facebook. And that's when people are posting misleading or inaccurate content. And you can report Facebook posts. So if you see something that you think is completely off the wall, then you can report it. But it's also good to remember that, this is a country with free speech. And so, some things might be valid. You want to weigh that kind of thing. But Facebook is aware of some of the things that are going on. They just can't, manage all of it themselves. So here's the things that you should kind of take away from today. Social media is not going away, neither is this form of communication with us video interacting, and neither are those loud negative voices. So we have to do our best to disseminate that sound science, because it's our best defense and offense when it comes to those negative voices out there. Engagement is important. It's important for you to engage on other people's pages. So if you have time, you have the opportunity to engage in those other science pages, it helps boost them as much as it helps boost you in the algorithm. Making personal connections is really important. That's why DMing and private messaging is really important when it comes to this type of communication. Like I said, don't take anything away from this. Take this one. Do not argue in a public forum, because it makes us look unprofessional. And then we can help generate constructive conversations through social media. So I definitely encourage you to be on social media, whether it's in your personal life or in a business area. So that's what I have. And I think there were a couple of questions. I see, let's see. Kate said, can the design programs that were mentioned be written out at the end? Yep. Emily, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so and I'll hop in. Yeah, so I put links to the two programs that Shelby mentioned. And so if anyone has questions at this time, if you can type them into the chat box, or you are welcome to unmute yourself and ask as well. I'll start. Shelby, for you guys, what does success look like for you? Do you have some specific metrics that you follow on your different social media accounts that you kind of are tracking to measure, how effective you're being?
Definitely, Emily. So we track our social media analytics every Monday, and we do that. Honestly through an Excel spreadsheet, and we also use Hootsuite sometimes to do that as well. And we measure the success of a post not by the amount of likes or comments that it gets, but by the reach. And if you have a social media platform, you can get into those analytics, and they're fairly easy to understand. And so basically, to go back, what that kind of looks like is, first of all, the algorithm shows one post to a subset of your followers. And then if those followers like and interact with your post, then it shows it to another subset, then another. And that's kind of how it goes along. Well, just because you're not liking the post doesn't mean that you're not seeing the post. And so if it goes through your news feed, that means that you probably saw it in some form or fashion. And so that's where that reach comes through, rather than the interaction. We'd really like people to interact with our posts, but the reach is also important, just making sure that people are seeing it. And so that's what success on social means to us right now, because we are still, the center is still relatively new to social media. We began in September after making all the plans for it. And we plan to do a complete analysis of our social platforms at the end of the year. Well, in September when we finished a year.
Great, thank you. So Tina asked, can you send the recording? So just to remind everybody, all of the recordings of our calls are posted on our website. And at the very top of the chat, I posted some links for today's call. And one of those links, the last link there, is the directly to the past calls page. So it typically takes a week or so to get the calls up. So if you check back end of next week, beginning of the following week, the link to this presentation should be there. So, and the link is, okay, it's not showing here. I'll post it again for you real quick. And I thought what I would do, because since this is today's topic, sorry, I'm just gonna get this link for her real quick. I thought I would go ahead and pull up some of the stuff that we've been doing. Hopefully a number of you guys follow the Florida Invasive Species Partnership on social media. So you've kind of seen in the last week or so, we've got kind of a new style. We're posting with a little bit more consistency. And so I'm going to just change the screen share here real quick so I can just show you my desktop. And pull some stuff up to look at. So, all right. So hopefully you still see the PowerPoint presentation. And I'm gonna pull over. So what I did was I opened up I've been using Canva to create these new images that we are posting on social media. Sorry, I just want to pull up the chat box too so I can see if anyone chats. So this is one of the links that we shared, and this is one of the programs that Shelby mentioned. So this is the FISP Canva account right now. I'm using the free account right now, which means I can have 2 organizational folders. So the ones you're seeing here are the ones that have been posted. We've also got my draft folder, which is the ones I'm working on. So I just kind of wanted, since she talked about this, to pull it up real quick and show you really how easy it is to work in. What I did was I kind of took a glance. I spent some time just looking through all the different templates. I mean, they provide tons of templates. I pulled out some stuff I liked and then created my own kind of from there. But so I'll click on one of these. This post right here was posted a week and a half ago, this image, and this did really well. This got lots of shares. This got shared by a lot of our other partners, like organizations that I've never even interacted with in Michigan started sharing it. So that was kind of cool. But I want to show you one that has kind of some picture elements in it. So for example, if I open up this Cuban tree frog that got posted this week, over to this side is all your different control things. So you can put in photos that they provide. You can put in all these different elements, which includes, will those links also include the PowerPoint? Tony, are you referring to, okay, sorry, I just got a question and I'll respond to that. So you can put in these photo grids, you can put in shapes. They provide these different like images. So these photos I pulled in myself, and then when you do text, you have like all these different font options, and it's just really easy. It's basically plug and play. So that's Canva. Adobe Spark I've used a little bit as well, and like Shelby said, it's kind of a similar tool. So there's a lot you can do just playing around with the free version of this. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Like I said, just wanted to share. And then I thought too, I would show you, actually I have it, I'll go to the next slide. So the FISP social media campaign, this is something that I've been working with Sam Ewan on as part of our FWC partnership with FISP. So we have a schedule, kind of like Shelby mentioned, coming up with a plan. So our schedule on Mondays, we'll have a non-native creature feature. On Tuesdays, we'll feature a CISMA. On Wednesday is a plant profile, and we're essentially just going right through the FlexiCat 1 list alphabetically. On Tuesdays, we're going to feature a FISP partner, and on Friday, we suggest how you can take action. And so what that looks like for me in our plan, and hopefully this is working right so you can see this spreadsheet I just pulled up. So this is what I created to kind of help lay this out for myself. So this shows how we're going to rotate through the CISMAs, how we're going to rotate through the partners. I've got the Flexi list of plants because that's already there for me. I did a list of animals. You can see the Friday one, the actions. I'm going to kind of, those will be as we go. I'll be kind of thinking of opportunistically too, like maybe something came up in the news cycle that I can create an action around. On the weekends, we kind of left those to be a little more fluid. I may not post. I may save a great news story from the week or something like that. And in between here during these weekdays, like for example, today I did do an Earth Day post sharing a really cool article, as well as later in the day I'll share the Rosary P profile. So this is just, again, just kind of to show you what we're doing and how we laid it out. I also created a spreadsheet to help me see for FISP, and this is just a page in my spreadsheet, so that I can see when I need to tag people, what their handles are on social media. So this includes the CISMAs that do have social media. So if you guys create social media, or if you have it and I don't know about it, let me know. And then the same thing for our partners. It just has, we're doing Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So it has, their handles so I can find them easy. And, if you use social media, when you start adding like the symbol @ seeing them, it usually comes right up for you, but this just helps me kind of double check, like, oh, are they there, and do I need to tag them? So the last thing I'll mention about this real quick is that when we do, for the CISMA and FISP partner highlights, we will reach out the first round of CISMA. So essentially we'll be rotating through. So the first 16 posts will hit all 16 CISMAs, and then we'll start over in the same order. So the first post about your CISMA will be really general, just kind of who you are, what counties you cover. Once we've done that, with the second post, and I will reach out specifically to the CISMA leads, and this goes the same for the partners, we'll want to feature like a specific project you're working on, or you know, some specific, maybe a success story you want to share. And same with the partners. Your first post will be kind of general, but still I'll let you know when you're, for example, TNC is coming up this week, and I shared that with our FISP TNC representatives, so that they had some input. And then when they come up again as a partner, we'll reach out and say, you know, is there something specific you want to feature? So this first round is just more like general. It's just like, you know, who they are and how they interact with FISP. And then after that, we'll start going into more details of like, you know, so it'll be another, but it'll be like 16 weeks in between for your posts. So I just wanted to share that. If there's any other questions coming in, one person asked, will those links include the PowerPoint as well? So this presentation, we only share the video of it. I think you can, if you want to reach out to Shelby regarding the actual file, you can ask her about that, as it's her presentation. So here's another question coming in. Do you have any tips for how to avoid spamming people with your posts on social media, i.e. posting multiple times a day? So Shelby, what is kind of the recommended like max posting a day, and what is a good time too? Like, is there key times during the day when it's best to post?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would not post more than twice a day, because then you will get into that spamming. And if anything, really start with once a day. If you find you have enough content to post twice a day, that's great. But one post a day is really okay. And then your second question was times of day. For us, our times of day are about 9 or 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and then I think 8 o'clock at night is another one. So a really cool one is or a really cool feature of Hootsuite is that it'll tell you when your audience is most interacting with your posts, and then that can help you determine when to post, like when is the right time to post. We keep an eye on it too, and so like I definitely find that I get notifications around 8 o'clock when people are just kind of watching TV or scrolling through their Instagrams, or you know, whatever news feed that is. So those are our times, like I said, 9 or 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, but that could be different for every page.
Mm-hmm. Great, thanks. And so another thing that I will do is when we post the video file of this call, so you can go back and watch it, when we put it up on our website, I will include the Canva, Spark, Adobe, and Hootsuite links that are in the chat currently. I'll include those on the page directly under the link to this presentation, so they're easily accessible there as well. Sometimes if we have some main links from the presenter, we do that. So I'll put those there as well for you guys, so you can find them again to review. Okay, so it looks like the questions are kind of slowing down. Again, you can always reach out to Shelby. Thank you so much for your presentation today. That was really informative and helpful. You can also always reach out to me, and I can reach out to Shelby, or however you prefer to do that communication. So remember, again, just a reminder, these are posted online for reviewing afterwards as well. So with that, kind of moving on from social media, gonna go through a few updates. I just wanted to remind folks that, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to remind folks that Florida Invasive Species Awareness Week is coming up May 16th through 23rd. I apologize that you haven't heard more about this. I'm sure as with many of you, this whole kind of COVID-19 thing has created some chaotic transitions for myself. And so I'm a little behind on some of this stuff, but what we will do for this year, it's in conjunction with that National Invasive Species Awareness Week Part 2 that we've discussed previously. And so we will really focus on social media and online learning opportunities during that week. There is a Florida Invasive Species Awareness page on our FISP site, and the link to that, if you're able to scroll up to the top of the Zoom chat, the link to that is there. And I'll paste these links in at the end too. I will send some updates to Sarah Jean, who I think maybe even hopped on today. So, and it'll really just be like how you can personally participate in FleeSaw, and so we can send that link out to folks. Also, I will send an email to the CISMA listserv. So if you're not on the CISMA listserv, all you have to do is go to our FISP homepage, and there's a big button in the main bar that says join the email list or something. And you can join that listserv. I'll send an email out just requesting. I do know there's some folks who are planning some online events for that week. So I'll ask you to kind of just let me know the information and try to pull that all together. I'll share these relevant links with you. I'll provide both of the logos you see on the screen, the FleeSaw logo, and then NISA has a few different ones. So I'll send you those. And then I'll also send you some relevant hashtags for like NISA and FleeSaw and whatnot, so that when you are doing your social media during that week, we'll kind of all be consistent. And so kind of pared down this year, but we'll definitely try to really do a concerted effort on social media, and then especially if anyone's hosting some online opportunities. So that email will probably go out early next week to the CISMA listserv. So again, if you're interested in getting that information, just make sure you're signed up, and you can do that on our website. Let's see. And then other than that, just a reminder that currently all of our in-person and group events are canceled or postponed. One course that we do know did get rescheduled, and we'll see when that arises. Hopefully, the new dates will work. So the aquatic weed short course through UF did get rescheduled for October 27th through the 30th. Some webinar opportunities to be aware of course, our monthly CISMA calls are the 4th Wednesday of each month. NASMA also hosts webinars the 3rd Wednesday of each month, and they currently opened their webinar catalog, which is typically only open to members. They opened it for the month of April. So you've still got a little time left. If you visit the NASMA website, you can currently access their catalog of past webinars, which are typically reserved for membership. So this is another opportunity. I encourage folks, if you're putting together some online learning or something, definitely let me know. We can get it shared via the calendar of events on our website, through our social media, through through our listserv and stuff like that. So just kind of trying to keep some stuff going on during this time. So that's all I've got for today. If anyone has any other questions, I'm gonna pull the links from the top to the bottom real quick, just so make sure everybody has those. It sounds like if you hop on late, you maybe can't see the whole chat. So I'm gonna pull that down here for you guys. See if it came up. Yeah, so there you go. So here we have just the link to directly to the National Invasive Species Awareness Week website, and there you can see they have put together some tools and stuff. So if you want to get some ideas for things you may be able to do, there's also this website through NASMA, 13 ideas on how to participate. This is mostly for the kind of individual, so we'll probably pull from that and kind of use that as a guide for our own website. This is that Florida page I mentioned that we'll get some updates on in the coming weeks. And then again, this last link is where you can go to see all the past CISMA calls. And I just wanted to highlight, the past few have been really popular. So last month we heard about this really cool Learn and Burn program, where we brought together multiple different stakeholder groups to learn about invasive species and burning and land management. The month before that, we had the diseases of feral hogs, which is a really comprehensive presentation from Dr. Wisely with UF. So those were, people were asking about those. Those are currently up and posted on the website. And again, this one will be up in a week or so. So with that, I just really want to thank everybody for joining today. I hope everybody's doing all right. And, you know, reach out to us if you have any questions or that we can be of any assistance. And thanks again to Shelby for the really timely and helpful presentation today. Have a great afternoon, and I look forward to talking to you again next May. Keep an eye out in your inbox for the subject of next month's call. All right, folks, talk to you later. Bye.